The following broadcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. While Kirk Shepard is a therapist, he's probably not your therapist, so this production should not be considered a replacement for therapy. If you are in need of psychologytoday.com, your primary care physician, or one of the many online therapy services available. If you are in crisis or having a psychological emergency, please seek assistance from your closest emergency room. And now, happy Monday! Hey everybody, welcome again to another Monday morning broadcast here. It's our fourth episode. That's four, like the Four Horsemen if you're a wrestling fan. Wearing my Prison Mike office shirt today, just to be cool. I'm Kirk Shepard, if you don't know. I'm the host of the program, and today we're going to talk about three things we always talk about: gratitude, affirmation, and productivity. We've got a jam-packed episode today with lots of things to get into. But hey, how are you? Good morning. Thanks for being here. I would love to chat with you. If you are watching live, feel free to chime in at any time during the broadcast, and we will interact with you as we can. But we do have a lot of things to get to this morning, and so I think we should just go ahead and do it. First of all, some good news. One of my favorite things is talking to people who have done cool things, with people who are talented, who've accomplished a dream, or things like that. So I had a very cool fortune the other day of talking with a friend of mine named Danielle Muething about her career as an audiobook narrator, and I wanted to bring that to you this morning. So here's Dan. Hey everybody, it's our first interview here for Happy Monday. I wanted to talk to somebody who has done something they're proud of or has overcome something, and Danielle Muething is a friend of mine who I haven't seen in a while. Last time I think was a Fringe show that you were in, and I was helping out back there with Jared and all that, and Sarah Mackey wrote that. But I didn't realize, and I'm so happy to hear that you have made a career, a full-time gig, out of being a voiceover artist and narrator for audiobooks. Tell me how you got started in that, and just kind of the journey to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. In 2019, well, actually, we have to go back a ways. I did a show with a friend of mine named Jennifer Jill Araya, and she later became an audiobook narrator, and we were still in touch. And so I said to her, "How do you do that?" And she gave me the hookup and told me exactly what to do and helped me get all set up. And that was in 2019. I started auditioning for things. I had a little booth in a closet, like, nothing
Sure.
fancy, and got my first book. And then and at the time in 2019, I was still doing a lot of other gigs. So I was teaching after school classes, I was doing shows, I was singing at uh, nursing homes, and yeah, just a lot of stuff outside of the house. And then COVID
Yeah.
happened,
Yeah.
and everything shut down. And that was about a year into my audiobook journey. And then, so I just spent that time the next year really focusing on audiobooks because it was all I had.
Yeah.
And yeah, amazingly, a month before everything shut down, my husband built my booth for me, my custom booth. We wouldn't have been able to afford it if it had been
Yeah.
any later than we did.
Sure.
And because I lost all of my other jobs, they all went away,
Yeah.
and all I had was audiobooks. And
Yeah.
so I spent a year really focusing on audiobooks, and that's what I
Here
do
we
now.
are.
And and voiceover work, that's kind of a little less, but I do
Yeah.
audiobooks more. But
Yeah, I was
yeah,
looking at your website. Looks like you've done some stuff for the Aeronaut and for the aquarium and
yeah,
some other cool gigs around town, which is really neat. What's
yeah.
what's the best thing about audio? I mean, you get to read these books, and I'm assuming I guess that's a good question. Let me ask this one: what happens if you get a book that you don't really love?
Um, I have to say, and I mean this honestly, it has not happened yet.
Good.
So I'm not, yeah. The nice part is right now I have the option to pick and choose what I do.
Yeah.
So I don't usually go after things that don't appeal to me in the
Yeah,
first place.
makes sense.
So, yeah. So luckily I've just gotten to read some awesome books. And yes, something I really love is that these are books, the people I work with at this point are all independent authors. So I probably would have never heard of them if I
Yeah,
wasn't doing. And to find these books and to meet these awesome people, and a lot of them I've become friends with
that's
them.
awesome.
And so yeah, it's such a cool job.
And you're getting to do their series. So I've noticed a lot of them are like writing multiple books. Probably, I'm guessing, like fantasy romance genres. Is that kind of a good way to describe what most of what your work is? Yeah. So they're writing these series, and people are rehiring you, and you people that listen. I'm sure you have probably a good fan base. I was just talking to somebody earlier today actually about when they go to Audible, they will sometimes buy a book solely based on the reader more than they will even the author, or vice versa. They won't buy if they can't stand the way the person sounds. So it's a really important gig, and for the authors themselves to have somebody who the fans sort of can enjoy and like hearing. That's an important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And to get that, to have that good relationship with an author is so important. It's because we have these good relationships together and we work so well
Yeah,
together. And yes, and their fans become my fans because they associate my voice with these characters.
sure.
And so yeah, and
And these
that's
folks are
really
probably pretty passionate about. I mean, we think about, not to make stereotype them, but Misery, right? She was a huge fan of those books, and I'm sure your fans are not quite to that level, but
not,
at
not
least
that
I
I've
hope
met.
not. But that's awesome. I love the passion of folks who
Yeah,
love books. That's great. I love it.
absolutely.
So, yeah, you've been able to overcome the obstacle of COVID and losing all the work by really kind of stumbling into this really fascinating world of narration, and I love it.
Yeah.
Happy Monday, huh? What a great
Yeah.
thing.
Happy Monday. Woo.
What would you
Uh,
say to anybody who out there has a dream, or as a person who was trying to perform and make a living in the arts? That's a tough gig, right? So for folks who have a dream and want to accomplish something in that world or any other world, do you have any advice or anything you would say to encourage them?
Yeah, I can absolutely talk. I keep saying absolutely. Sorry. I can talk very specifically to acting because I've been doing it for a very long time. And something you need to understand when you're going into acting is it's not easy. It's not an easy gig whatsoever. But there are so many different ways to do it. And because I know a lot of people, I haven't gotten it much anymore, but when I was coming up in it, I would talk to people about it and they'd say, "Oh, do you want to go to Broadway?" And I'm like, that's not the only thing that's out there. I mean, I
Yeah,
get it. That's what we all kind of know. But it doesn't even have to be your end all be all goal.
yeah,
Like I was really happy just doing the work that I was doing. And you have to learn how to be your own boss. That's something that's really important in the acting field and especially in the audiobook narrating field.
yeah,
Nobody's finding these jobs for you. You have to go out and find them yourself. So with any kind of performance, any kind of art-based job, you find your opportunities.
yeah,
And it's very important to be self-motivated in that way.
yeah.
Uh,
And
and
to
really
be
probably
resilient, right? You're going to get a lot of no's, and eventually you're going to get a yes. And so you got to keep, if it's the goal, you got to keep pushing until you get it. And
right,
it's harder in that world than any other, I think, just in the because there's so few jobs and so many people who want them.
right.
So
Right. And it's funny because in theater, I think it was something I really had to force myself to do in audiobooks that was different from theater. With theater, you usually get a deadline of when the casting is going to happen.
sure,
With audiobooks, you don't. So I like to say, the old Ron Popeil, set it and forget it. Like I do the audition and I walk away. And if I
yeah,
hear from them, cool. If I
yeah,
don't, it's whatever. But you really have to just put it out of your mind, focus on what
yeah,
you're doing, do more auditions if they're out there, and then hopefully something
yeah.
will come along.
Yeah,
So
my friends in New York who are auditioning every day because that's their their that at that level, they tell me the same thing. They can't even think about what they've done. They just have to keep going, and if they get a yes
right,
at some point, oh good, they can't expect it to
great.
happen. So Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it. Thank you so much for talking with us about this. I'm so excited to share good news and happy stories with people, and it's good to see you.
Yeah, really good to see you.
We'll talk
Yeah,
to you soon.
absolutely. Have fun. And yeah, thank you for having me on. This was
Yeah.
cool.
That was great, huh? Got to hear about her journey into audiobook narration. That's a really cool thing. If you want to be a guest, I'd love to have you. You can go to kirkshepherd.com to figure out how to contact me, or you can just email me at info@happymondayWithKirkShepherd.com, or if you know me and can just direct message me or text me. I would love to chat with you about your story. Whatever it is, if it's a happy story, we would love to talk with you about that. Um, some housekeeping things. Guess what? It is 2 days until I go to New York City. It's actually, let me see, I have a countdown clock somewhere if I can find it. Maybe it's up here. Let's see. There it is. 2 days, 3 minutes, 48, no, 2 days, 3 hours, 48 minutes, and 47 seconds until I am landed at LaGuardia. Going to New York City to see some friends and to hang out in the city and do some really cool stuff. And I think that's a good place to get to our gratitude. I am really thankful for the ability to travel and for the ability to go see friends and connect with people. I'll tell you a little bit about my plans while I'm there because it's going to be outrageously cool, the things I'm doing. So first, the main reason for the trip at this time of year, that is the senior class, the class of 2023 of musical theater at the University of Cincinnati's College Conservatory of Music. And they do their showcase where they show their best work in front of agents and managers and other casting folks in the city. And part of that is open to the public. And so I, as the public, will go and watch and support and hang out with them in the city. That's very exciting. But also, I have a ticket to see Alex Newell and the rest of the cast of the musical Shocked, which is a brand new musical about corn, no lie. Maybe the most exciting thing for me is this one. That's Laurie Metcalf. She was in Roseanne as Jackie, still on the Conners as Jackie. One of my favorite actresses ever, and she's in a new horror play called Grey House. And I want to see that as well while I'm in the city. And then wrap things up on Sunday night before I leave. These folks are all advertised for the 54 Below Cabaret concert featuring the best of CCM. So that's Jason Gray, who was in Wicked Tour, I saw in Las Vegas. That's on the top left. On the bottom left is Leroy Reams, the Broadway legend who's in the original 42nd Street. In the middle at the top is Blaine Krause, who is currently in Hamilton. Underneath him is Jessica Hendy, who is currently on an off-Broadway show called Walking with Bubbles, along with another friend of mine, Brianna Barnes. And Jessica was also in Cats at one point on Broadway. Top right is Max Clayton. Max is an amazing talent who was most recently in The Music Man as Hugh Jackman's understudy, which is a pretty big deal. And then on the bottom right is Scott Coulter, the man who puts it all together, one of the best cabaret acts you'll ever see. So that's my New York trip, and I'm so thrilled and grateful to be able to do that. I'm also really grateful for the ability to travel in general. And today we're going to talk about that a little more. But we'll come back to that in a minute because we need to get back to our usual topics. And I think it's time for a focus on self-care. You know that we have been using the book A Year of Self-Care by Dr. Zoe Shaw to go through each week and pick out a topic. I'm using the day that we're actually broadcasting. So today's topic, May 8th, was ask yourself, what choices distract you from caring for yourself? Remember that it's not the people you love in your life that keep you from caring for yourself. Rather, it's the behaviors you choose that take precedence over your own health. How can you adjust, let go of, elicit help for, or change those behaviors to make space for you? Don't accept I can't as an answer. Think about it today and take comfort in knowing that you deserve an answer. You deserve to set boundaries. It's okay for you to say no. It's actually important for you to say no. In fact, it's more than important. It's absolutely imperative that you learn to say the word no. Because there will be times when you are stretched too thin, when you are asked to do things that you have no capacity for or bandwidth for, and it's okay for you to set those boundaries. it is not selfish to practice self-care. Let's say it again. It is not selfish to practice self-care. Okay? So that's our year of self-care. But also, very closely to that is today's habit hacks. This is a little bit different take on the idea of saying no and saying the words I can't versus I won't. And I'm excited, of course, to use the work, once again, of James Clear, one of the foremost habit writers in America. You can buy his book, by the way, over at kirkshepherd.com on the link tree, and I get a couple bucks if you buy it through that affiliate link. So if you would consider that, I would love it. But either way, go get a copy of that book. It's really good. So I'm excited to kind of go through this article he wrote, which is more about how to say no and resist temptation. So instead of saying no to others, it's how do you say no to yourself in this particular habit building exercise today. So learning how to say no is one of the most useful skills you can develop, especially when it comes to living a healthy life. Say no to unnecessary commitments, and you have the time you need to recover and rejuvenate. Say no to daily distractions, and you have the space you need to focus on what is important to you. And saying no to frequent temptations can help you stay on track and achieve your goals. This, of course, begs the question, how do we avoid distraction and get past the urgencies of everyday life so that we can actually live healthy and do the things that are really important to us? It seems like a big task, but research is starting to show that small changes can make a significant impact. In fact, here's one change you can make right now that will make things easier for you in the long term to say no, resist temptation, and stick to your health and fitness goals for the long term. There's power in language, folks. So, in a research study published in the Journal of Consumer Research, 120 students were split into two different groups. The difference between those two groups was saying the words, I can't, compared to I don't. One group was told that each time they were faced with a temptation, they would tell themselves, I can't do X. For example, when tempted with ice cream, they would say, I can't eat ice cream. When the second group was faced with a temptation, they were told to say, I don't do X. For example, when tempted with ice cream, they would say, I don't eat ice cream. After repeating these phrases, each student answered a set of questions unrelated to the study. Once they finished answering the questions, the students went to hand in their answer sheet, thinking the study was over. In reality, it was just beginning. As each student walked out of the room and handed in their answer sheet, they were offered a complimentary treat. The student could choose between a chocolate candy bar or a granola health bar. As the student walked away, the researcher would mark their snack choice on the answer sheet. Here's what happened. The students who told themselves, I can't eat X, chose to eat the chocolate candy bar 61% of the time. Meanwhile, the students who told themselves, I don't eat X, chose to eat the chocolate candy bars only 36% of the time. The simple change in terminology significantly improved the odds that each person would make a more healthier food choice. But the surprises didn't stop there. The same researchers were also interested in how the words can't and don't affect our willingness to say no over the long term and stick to goals when faced with repeated temptation. After all, most of us can turn down a candy bar once, but eventually we slip up. In other words, is there a way to say no that makes it more likely that we'll stick to healthy habits and avoid unhealthy ones? The researchers designed a new study, by getting 30 working women to sign up for a health and wellness seminar. All of the women were told to think of a long-term health and wellness goal that was important to them, and then the researchers split the women into 3 groups of 10. Group 1 was told anytime they feel tempted to lapse into their goals, they should just say no. This group was the control group because they were given no specific strategy. Group 2 was told that anytime they felt tempted to lapse on their goals, they should implement the can't strategy. For example, I can't miss my workout today. And Group 3 was told that anytime they felt tempted to lapse on their goals, they should implement the don't strategy. For example, I don't miss workouts. For the next 10 days, each woman received an email asking to report her progress. They were specifically told during the 10-day window, you will receive emails to remind you to use the strategy and to report instances in which it worked or did not work. If the strategy is not working for you, just drop us a line and say so, and you can stop responding to the emails. Here's what the results looked like 10 days later. Group 1, the Just Say No group, had 3 out of 10 members who persisted with the goals for the entire day. 3 out of 10. Group 2, the can't group, had 1 out of 10 members who finished the goal for the entire 10 days. Group 3, the don't group, had an incredible 8 out of 10 members who persisted with their goals for the entire 10 days. The words that you use not only help you make better choices on an individual basis, but also make it easier to stay on track with your goals. So why does I don't work better than I can't? Words help to frame your sense of empowerment and control. Furthermore, the words you use create a feedback loop in your brain that impacts your future behaviors. For example, every time you tell yourself, I can't, you're creating a feedback loop that is a reminder of your limitations. This terminology that you're forcing yourself to do something you don't want to do. But in comparison, when you tell yourself, I don't, you're creating a feedback loop that reminds you of your control and power over the situation. It's a phrase that can propel you towards breaking your bad habits and following your good ones. Basically, it's about power and control. When you say, I can't, you are psychologically draining yourself. But when you say, I don't, you are empowering yourself to say no. You can either be the victim of your own words or the architect of them. So here's practicality. There are situations every day when you need to say no to someone or something. For example, the waiter who offers you a dessert menu, or the urge to skip a workout and stay home, or the distracting call of text, tweets, updates when you should be focusing on something important. Individually, our responses to these little choices seem insignificant, which is why we don't make a big deal about telling ourselves that we can't do something. But imagine the cumulative effect of choosing more empowering words on a consistent basis. Pretty cool, yeah? I can't versus I don't. I'm thinking about my own life, right? So I have never had a drop of alcohol my whole life. I don't have any desire to. Never really thought it was something I would be interested in doing. And perhaps part of the reason I've been able to do that is because I don't ever say I can't drink alcohol, because I can. I say I don't drink alcohol. It's empowering. Now, when I say I can't drink Diet Coke because it tastes bad, the reality is I could. I don't. So in the reverse, it works too. That I've reinforced I don't eat vegetables. I don't drink Diet Coke. I don't do things that are healthy. I don't go for walks. I got to change that to a positive thing. I don't lay in bed for an extra 3 hours in the morning. I don't skip my walk routine. I think it's a great thing. I think it's a really cool habit hack. So, we're moving right along here. If you're here today, say hi. No one's chimed in. I hope people are watching. If not, though, you'll be listening on the podcast. By the way, brand new podcast drops on Friday. Been talking about it for a while. It is The Epic Adventures of Kirk and Connie, or Kirk and Connie's Epic Adventures, whatever it's called. You'll enjoy it. It drops Friday. Definitely on Spotify. I'm hoping to get it out to all the other podcast locations as well. But you can definitely catch it on this Friday morning at 8 a.m. when it drops on Spotify. We had fun. We already recorded, and it was really cool. Okay. The living moment is everything, says D.H. Lawrence. And so I think it's time for us to spend a little bit of a moment getting grounded and being present. And so let's do some meditation. Take a second, get yourself centered, put your feet on the floor, open your body up, take some breaths. If you're watching on the video, you can use the purple to help you breathe. Breathe in and out, and in and out. Focus on your feet planted firmly in its place, and feel that connectedness to the floor. I'm going to think about travel today. And I know that I'm going to be stressed when I go to the airport about getting through security. And so I'm going to breathe right now as I picture that process. and take control back from the anxiety and walk myself through what happens step by step. I'll put my luggage on the belt. I have TSA pre-check, so I get to walk through. Perhaps you need to take your belt off and your shoes off. Go ahead and do that in your mind. But breathe and recognize that you are in control. Walk through security. Walk through the x-ray machine. Now gather your belongings on the other side. If they ask to screen you more, no big deal. Let them look. You're in no hurry. You've got there plenty of time. Breathe while you're doing this. Don't forget to breathe. Once you're through security, now it's smooth sailing. You'll sit at the tarmac and you'll watch people who are excited about their vacations, especially if you're anywhere near an Orlando flight, and you'll see kids excited about going to Disney World. You'll see business travelers starting off their week, hopefully in a good way. Maybe you'll meet a nice older lady who smiles at you and offers you a piece of candy. Whatever it is, traveling can be relaxing, despite the stress. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. Feel your body in its totality. Feel your fingertips all the way down to your shoulders. Feel your toes all the way up to your thighs. Be aware of the chair you're in and focus on the current present moment. Breathe. When you're ready, open your eyes, or if you don't have your eyes closed, then come back to reality. We're going to come back in 3, 2, 1. Decided to give you a countdown when I come back to me so it's not so jarring. It's a pretty hard transition sometimes to make back from the meditation. I hope that was okay. I hope that was interesting. I'm just kind of trying out some new things every week with this. And that was kind of fun for me. But I do think that for folks who are anxious about travel, that might be a really helpful one. I also have some thoughts. Maybe I'll record some of these as podcast standalones that you can use for audio purposes when you need just some guided imagery. And that might mean then we don't always do it every single Monday morning. However, if you like that part of the show, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you about your feedback. Well, we're almost out of time. It's so good to be here this morning. I'm going to New York, and I want to do some affirmation and action real quick. One of the things I'm looking forward to the most about this trip is a gathering of the CCM alumni that happens after the showcase. And last year I was there and crashed the party, so to speak. I'm not an alumni. I wasn't family. So I felt a little bit weird going into this gathering of folks, this party. But I was welcomed with open arms, and I was embraced, and people were thrilled to see me. And this year I've already been told how much they're looking forward to seeing me, and that I am not crashing at all because I am part of the family of the CCM folks because of my enthusiasm for what they do and who they are and following their journeys. So I'm going to walk into that gathering this year confident and excited and not let the self-doubt get to me. My challenge to you this week: when you're faced with an uncomfortable or awkward situation, walk in boldly because you deserve to be in those spaces. You deserve the respect and the appreciation. Don't think about it twice. You deserve it. Walk in boldly. Claim your space. Know who you are. You're worthy. You're great. Know your worth. People love you. If they don't, they're not worth your time. Walk into those spaces this week boldly and bravely and know you deserve to be there. Okay? Gosh, I think that'll do it for today. Happy Monday, everybody. Now, we're going to skip next week. I was thinking about how to do this. I don't think it's going to be possible while I'm in the city to go live because I'm going to be headed to the airport like right away in the morning. So we're going to take next week off, but I might have some audio exclusives on the podcast channel over at Spotify or Apple Podcasts. So if you're not subscribed to those, make sure you do that. Also, check out this Friday's drop of the Epic Adventures of Kirk and Connie. That's going to be fun. And I'll see you back here in 2 weeks live with another Happy Monday the way you know it. Okay? That's going to do it. I'm so thrilled about my trip. I'll let you know how it goes. Happy Monday, everybody.